All right, man. We've gone through all sorts of stuff: Mormonism, Jehovah's Witnesses, Roman Catholicism. We spent 3 weeks talking about the faith healers and things of that nature. Some of the abuses there. We are going to be talking about Hinduism and New Age-ism this morning. Now, this is a big one because this is honestly the most common religion that you see in the United States today, okay? The most common thing you're going to see is New Age. It's a philosophy of life. It's a concept. It's a way that people view the world. It's a worldview that in 2020 is just super woke. So woke, right? So like tapped into modern thinking, man. Right? Where, and it looks like this. I'm not religious. I'm spiritual. Thank you. Some of you finished that for me. I'm spiritual. I'm not religious. I'm spiritual. I don't believe in the God. I don't believe in a personal God. I don't believe in a personal creator. I believe in a force. I believe in an energy. It's all around us. I believe in the law of attraction, right? Man, you just got to put out good thoughts. Now, this is stuff you're going to hear. You watch the Academy Awards, you're going to hear people talking about this. We're going to put out good things. You ever seen somebody get on and say, please pray for my cat? My cat accidentally re-swallowed the hairball. Going to the vet, right? And then what do you get? You get sending vibes. Sending good vibes. I'm sending you good energy. I'm sending you good thoughts. Right? It's like we're praying for you. I'm not praying for you. I'm sending you good thoughts. That was freaking me out a little bit. It's like sending vibes. Keep your vibes. I don't want your vibes. All right? Put on your mask and your gloves. We're all trying to avoid the vibes. Got a bunch of people on cruise ships to make sure they didn't get the vibes. Right, this is modern. This is New Age. This is me. Like, this is the narcissism of the United States is I'm finding my truth. Okay? So the greatest virtue in America right now is being your true self. Right? You got to be authentic to me. Got to find me. Then go find myself, figure out who I am. If I get here while I'm gone, hold me here till I return. Right? Like, I'm finding myself. I'm finding my true self. I'm digging in to who I am and really going to find myself. This is New Age. Okay? This is this concept that there's a force in the universe that's determining how things go. I send out good energy. I get back good energy. This is me. I'm an island unto myself. I'm a God unto myself. Right? You do you. I do me. The way for all of us to get along is you stay out of my business. I'll stay out of your business. I am accountable to me and me alone. I do me, bro. You do you. I do me. Stay up out my business. All right? I can do whatever I want to do, and it's everyone else's responsibility to get on board with it. All right? My truth is my truth. Your truth is your truth. That is humanism. And if you were to put a label on it, it's I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. It's New Age philosophy. It's Deepak Chopra. Okay? It's you are stardust. You're made out of the same thing as stardust. You're basically a star. Love you. This is the love me movement. Love you, man. Where does it come from? And why are we doing Hinduism and this New Age stuff at the same time? Well, here we go. You ready? You ready? Here's what makes Hinduism difficult. There's no leader. There's no boss. The actual word for Hinduism actually comes from the same root word that we get the word India. All right, it was the Indus River. The way that it was pronounced in one language on one side of the river eventually kind of got morphed into Hindu. okay? But the Hindu got morphed from the same word that India came from. Like, you can't talk about India without talking about Hinduism, okay? Now, Buddhism is kind of an offshoot of Hinduism, okay? So when you hear about Hinduism and Buddhism, it's the same junk. You know, Phil Jackson was the Chicago Bulls coach and then the Los Angeles Lakers coach. He's in Zen Buddhism. It's kind of an offshoot of the same concept. So what I want to do is I want to give you the basis, the foundational principles of Hinduism, the big picture. There's tons and tons of their own little, we'll call them denominations within Hinduism that see things a little bit different, but I want to give us big picture. And I want us to understand why big picture, what that looks like in the context of Christianity today in the United States, and why this is such a huge thing, okay? Now, here's what we got to understand within Hinduism. Here's the overarching premise of all of it. Okay? They're rare words. I wanted to remember them. Okay, the word for your eternal soul is Atman. Okay? That is your individual self. That's your soul. Now, here's the thing. There's Brahman is the fancy word for the all one. Okay, so check this out. Check this out. The Brahman is the true reality, the real thing from which everything flows. It's all one thing, the Brahman. Now, you're an Atman. You are an individual. Your individual soul is an illusion. It's not real. You don't have independent thoughts. You're not an independent individual. Your goal in life is to understand your place in the Brahman, the big all one. It's all the same. All of the energy, all of the world around us, the entire universe, philosophies, everything is all the same energy source. It's all one. We're part of the all one. Okay? Now, the way so the illusion of the physical body is actually suffering. Life is suffering. Your goal in Hinduism is to remove yourself from the illusion and meld back into the Brahman. Okay? To again become one with the all one. Now, if you hear someone who believes in this stuff talk about God, the God is this impersonal energy force, this thing that is the universe, that you are part of, that I am part of, that the tree is part of, that the dog is part of, that the cat is part of, that the rat is part of, that the Mars and Saturn and Jupiter and the stars, that's why you're stardust, you're the same as the stars. It's all from the same thing. Now, here's how you do that. We're familiar with the term karma, right? So you got really cool videos on Facebook where it's like karma's a real jerk. Right? Like somebody does something mean. Y'all ever seen the one? You're too old to be laughing that hard at that. All right. Y'all ever seen the one where the dude's got the brick and he tries to throw it through the window and it bounces off the window and knocks him the heck out? That's the greatest one, right? Now, that's the concept of karma. It's like, boom, right? It's funny. Or the person that tries to ride on the shoulder, everybody's stopped in traffic, and that dude goes flying up on the shoulder to pass everybody, and we all hate that guy, right? You've been sitting there for 45 minutes. You're cussing your kids out, right? The tablet dies, and it's like, I forgot my card. I forgot my card, right? Shut up. Nah, can I have your phone? No. Why? Because it's mine. Right? There's $9,000 worth of technology in this car, right? This is ridiculous, but you're not getting mine. My headphones aren't working. You're stuck in traffic. You want to kill your kids. It's awful. And some jerk goes flying up the shoulder and runs into the guardrail, right? Yes. And that's the video on social media where you're like, yes, that's the Lord's judgment. Right? But what it is people go, okay, that's karma. You do something bad happens to you. The truth of the matter is that's not karma at all. That's not actually the concept of karma within Hinduism at all. The actual concept of karma is this. Okay, now, what you're doing is you're trying to the process of what they call transmigration. You are trying to go from one life to the next, working towards going back into Brahman. So, your individuality is an illusion. You are not an individual. Okay? You are part of the All One. We are all part of the All One. And our goal is, through a process of transmigration, to move ourselves back into the All One. Karma is not when something good you do today hurts you or helps you in 10 years, or something bad you do today hurts you in 10 years. It's what you do now in this life affects how you come back in the next life. Okay? It's not what you do now hurts you in 60 years in this life. It's when you transmigrate into another creature, into another life form in the next life, it will determine what kind of creature you are. Okay? Now, so the All One, the cow is the same as you. The tree is the same as you. Okay? Now, we've all heard they worship cows in India, right? They don't. The cow and the rat are very common forms that they teach people transmigrate into. You can come back as a cow or you can come back as a rat. They don't eat cows because it might be Uncle Billy. I'm not making this up. They don't eat beef because they believe that their ancestors, based on their karma, when they transmigrated, they came back as a life form, as a cow. It's not that cows are sacred, it's that cows are granny, right? So we are going and ordering a double quarter pounder of grandma. Too far? All right. I'm not changing, okay? I'm not. Now, here's the other cool thing. A rat is another common form, life form, that they take on based on their karma. If you come back as a rat, it's bad. Now, because of that, in India, rats outnumber people 4-1. It just happened. Track with me for a second. We've heard about the caste system in India, right? We've heard about this concept, the caste system that's affected by Hinduism. So I need you to track with me. Have we heard the word Dharma? Some of you watched the show way back in the day, Dharma and Greg. I just got a grin from a couple of you. Way back, hippie parents, she's Dharma. It's from Hinduism. It's this concept of Dharma. Okay? Now, karma is what determines what I come back as. Dharma is making the right choices. Dharma is the choices that I'm supposed to make. Now, as Western Christian people, when I tell you, and this is how Hinduism gets interpreted, we start talking about this New Age stuff. It's like, if you do good, ethical, moral things, you get to come back as a better creature. Nah. Because the good, moral, ethical things, Dharma, the correct actions, the correct things, is not based on morality or an objective standard of morality, because we're coming from a system of the All One. We come from the same force and impersonal force. So Dharma is the appropriate actions based on who you're supposed to be. It isn't about a moral decision of you sacrificing yourself for someone else. It's about you filling the role that you were designed to fill. What that means is your eternal state of eventually becoming part of the All One is based on you staying in your lane. Okay? Filling the societal role that you're supposed to fill. Individuals don't matter. The group matters. The analogies that's used by some of the gurus within Hinduism is you're a drop in the ocean. Eventually you're going to be part of the ocean again. The drop doesn't matter. All right? So the reason the caste system is so strong and has been so strong until it started changing a little bit as Western culture and democracy and the value of the individual, which all comes from the Bible, started moving into this culture. All right? But the concept of individuals don't matter, group matters. Why? Because we're all from the same thing. We're not created by a personal God who gives us value. We're all part of the all one. We're making decisions based on the role that we are supposed to fill in society. So we don't move out of our role. That's why marriages between castes don't happen. So you have royalty, you've got leaders, you've got laborers, and you've got scum, and stay in your lane. They don't talk to each other, they don't eat with each other, they don't marry each other. And it's based on this religion that says my Dharma is filling my role in society. Everyone's a cog in the societal machine. Which ultimately leads to poverty. And rats outnumbering people 4-1. Now, where does yoga come in? Now, your job as an individual is to remove yourself from this fake individuality thing and become part of the all one. The way you do that is to empty yourself of your individuality, to empty yourself of reasoning and thought, and in yourself become part of the all one by a couple of things. Number one, what's called transcendental meditation. Okay? So we hear the concepts of meditation, and the second one is yoga. Okay? Yoga actually is an 8-step process by which to achieve oneness and to achieve Brahman. So there's 5 physical steps. The positions in yoga are designed to illustrate what I'm trying to do spiritually. For the first 5 are physical, the next 3 are spiritual. They're all part of a system by which I am separating myself from my body to become part of the all oneness around me. Y'all see the movie Avatar? Hinduism. Okay? So it's like, oh, it's amazing. He attaches his hair to the horse's left hoof, and then they think the same. That's what this is. That wasn't it. I think it was the tail or the mane or something. Weird. Remember that? Like, everything's connected. When they would step and the tree limb lit up. What was that? It's a picture of we're all part of the all one. When they laid the lady on the ground and they're all hitting the ground and she comes back to life because of the energy flowing out of the earth into her, not the earth, whatever planet they were on, the blue planet or whatever, right? That entire movie was Hinduism. That entire movie is based on the word avatar. Avatar is when a deity takes a life form, a human form on earth. It's all straight up humanism. Actually, the concept of all as one is actually monism, and then another word for it would be pantheism. Now, what does this lead to? Why has this taken such a root in the church, or not in the church, excuse me, in the United States? Okay? It started with the concept of humanism. It started with the concept of we have all the answers in humanistic philosophy. This became huge, and this Eastern philosophy was the driving force in the 60s. Okay? This was a driving force, but with it's all peace, we're all one, it's all good, you're me, I'm you, they're us. This concept was driven by this philosophy. Now, the reason it became so attractive is because it comes from a place of evolution. We're all coming from this source. This thing just kind of happened. This is who we are, and now we're going back into that. Okay, we're trying to achieve this liberation from our individuality. Now, when we start talking about Brahman, the other word that we know from Buddhism, from the offshoot of Hinduism, the word they use is nirvana. Okay, so when we say we're trying to achieve nirvana, it's the state of nothingness or all oneness. All right, now, how does this play out? So in Hinduism, when we start talking about Hinduism, now there's a bunch of offshoots. They have tons of gods and tons of deities, and they have a creator, and they've got 4-headed gods, and they've got all gods with all of these arms. And the other thing I wanted to tell you is when I say transmigration, some of you immediately thought of the word reincarnation, right? And you thought I thought this was called reincarnation. In 1891, Hinduism was introduced at the World Fair of Religion in Chicago. And they started talking about transmigration, and it was taught that to a bunch of Americans that if you were really, really good, you could come back as a cow, and if you were bad, you could come back as a rat. And everyone was like, I don't like the cow plan. That doesn't seem like a good idea. And the concept in the United States, in this New Age concept, was reincarnation. Reincarnation saying that now you don't just come back as animals, you can only come back as humans. So it was westernized to teach that you don't come back, you're not going to come back as an animal, you can always come back as a more powerful or better version of a human being. All right, I'm going to read you a couple passages real quick. Hebrews 9:27. I just want to read a few things from Scripture about what the Bible actually teaches about life and death as opposed to this idea. So we're talking about an eternal soul, and you're going to keep it. So the goal in life is to achieve Brahman, to release yourself from the hell of suffering and existence. Okay? Your entire goal is to separate yourself from your individuality, from who you are. And inasmuch as it is appointed for man once to die, and after this comes judgment. So Christ also, having been offered once to bear the sins of many, will appear a second time for salvation without reference to sin and to those who eagerly await him. Hebrews 10:10. By this will we have been sanctified through the offering of the body of Jesus Christ once for all. Philippians 1:21. For me to live is Christ, and to die is gain. But if I am to live on in the flesh, this will mean fruitful labor for me, and I do not know which to choose. But I am hard-pressed from both directions, having the desire to depart and be with Christ, for that is very much better. Now, the only reason I'm reading this is I want to point out the fact that everything about this Hinduism concept about how I'm trapped in this body and I'm living and my goal is to escape who I am goes contrary to everything that the Bible teaches. The Bible teaches that the creator, personal creator God, made man and women in his own image. We made man in his image, right? We sinned, separated from God. Jesus came to sanctify, to redeem, to justify, to save individual men and women from the penalty of their sin, so that we can be in right relationship with God. It's very much a personal thing. Everything about Hinduism, everything about this New Age concept comes from a rebellion against God. Okay? That's when we go to Romans 1. I think it's Romans 1. Yeah, 21. Guys, I promise I'm not going to last much longer. I know some of you guys, you lost an hour and you're exhausted. Bear with me a few more minutes and I'm going to shut up, okay? I'm going to try to make this relevant to us all before we go. And then we can go eat some chicken and take our naps. If any of you have trouble taking naps on Sundays, watch NASCAR. That stuff is boring. For even though they knew God, they did not honor him as God or give him thanks, but they became futile in their speculations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Professing to be wise, they became fools, and exchanged the glory of the incorruptible God for an image in the form of corruptible man, and of birds and four-footed animals and crawling creatures. The elevation, the worship of creation, the creature, it's called pantheism. Okay? Therefore, God gave them over to the lust of their hearts to impurity, so that their bodies would be dishonored among them, for they exchanged the truth of God for a lie, and worshipped and served the creature rather than the Creator. Okay? What's the point of all this? There is nothing in the universe that exists that you are not a part of or the same as. That's the heart of this. Where does that go back to? Genesis 3. Did God tell you not to eat of that? But eat of that tree, and you will know everything. You will know all knowledge. Hinduism is said to be one of, if not the oldest philosophy/religion in the world. It certainly goes back to directly after creation. It goes back to the fall. Every tenet of Hinduism is found in Genesis 3. Every one of them. They exchanged the truth of God for a lie and worshipped and served the creature rather than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. For this reason, God then gave them over to degrading passions, for their women exchanged the natural function for that which is unnatural. The same way also the men abandoned the natural function of the woman and burned in their desire toward one another. men and women committing indecent acts and receiving on their own persons the due penalty of their error. And just as they did not see fit to acknowledge God any longer, God gave them over to a depraved mind to do those things which are not proper, being filled with all unrighteousness, wickedness, grieved, evil, full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, malice. They are gossips. And although they knew the ordinance of God, verse 32, that those who practice such things are worthy of death, they not only do the same, but also give hearty approval to those who practice them. Now, how is this relevant, and why am I making this comparison to the New Age philosophy? What Hinduism does is it doesn't have a set leader. It has a bunch of quote-unquote sacred scriptures that the different denominations pick the ones they like. Okay? Not the same as when we talk about inspired scripture. But Hinduism or New Age philosophy is the philosophy that we all come from the same life source. It is the driving philosophy and the driving worldview that is driving, it's the driving worldview that is informing everything about the environmental going green push that we're seeing right now. Okay? Hashtag vegan. The people that don't eat meat for quote-unquote moral reasons, it's because their worldview, their elevation of the creature instead of the creator, leads logically to the point where they have to say that their dog is the same as their child. Okay? Because it's all the same life force. So every sentient being has to have a soul. At the heart of Hinduism is the dog has the same eternal soul that you have. That's why you can come back as one. Okay? So the logical conclusion is the devaluing of humanity, the devaluing of the individual, and the elevation of every creature on par with humans, because there's no logical perspective in terms of saying a creator God breathed into Adam's nostrils the breath of life, so man became a living soul, and God gave him dominion over creation. That's logical to everything that we see. Everything that we see around us points to a personal creator who says you have value and you have worth. So the concept of we have to protect the tree the same way that we protect our children is born from the idea that we're all part of the same life force. And at the heart of it is the denial of the creator who gives individuals value. It all flows, and it's why murdering unborn children is the same thing as cutting down a tree. So even if we're dealing with a concept in the United States where the person that's sitting in the town square and rocking back and forth and singing to the trees can't give you a word-for-word description of what Hinduism is, when it came into the United States about 100 years ago, it is there are those that call themselves Hindus, or say they subscribe to a Hindu philosophy, a New Age philosophy, that don't care about the deities that are ascribed to Hinduism. It's a philosophy that says, I am one with the All One, because it makes me God of my own universe. Because there is no objective truth, there is no objective standard, there is no perfect personal creator God who can look at me and say, you are wrong. There's no right, there's no wrong, there's no true. That's why some of you need to understand that social media is a losing proposition for you. Because in a universe that denies a lawgiver, they must by necessity deny a law. They must by necessity deny logic. Because the only logic that makes sense is I want. It's best for me. So sometimes when you scratch your head and you go, what? Why? It's Because in order to make myself God, I must elevate the creature over the creator. I am the creature. He is the creator. So if I can get rid of the personal God and turn this whole thing into a deal where I'm just trying to be good, so the good energy in the universe that I'm part of anyways, I can kind of just go back into that and be part of the all one. Now that sounds crazy because it is, but it's driving the thinking in our country right now. It's the heart of everything. Now, some of the question that some of you are wondering is, should Christians do yoga? I hope y'all have a wonderful week. I think that at the heart of this, we have to understand the connection between Eastern mysticism, Eastern religions, transcendental meditation, quiet the mind. Biblical meditation is mulling. It's actually, the concept is to murmur. It's to mull or repeat truth over and over and over. The concept is to cognitively process information and truth. That's what meditation is in Christianity. Okay? To engage my mind in rational thought about the Creator and His revealed truth. The opposite of that is emptying my mind and trying to become one with some energy around me and to find my center. You hear people talking about finding your center and finding your stuff in the feng shui, let the energy flow through the room. It's all this. Now, this is the fastest and largest highway into demonism in the world. Okay? Because an offshoot of this is when you empty your mind, you wait on the beings, the avatars, to speak to you. All right, you're freeing your mind to allow whatever wants to speak to you to speak to you. That's why we reject any philosophy or any concept that involves me sitting and waiting on something to speak to me. I'm not a yoga guy. Now, I can prove it. It is a difficult concept as far as what we separate ourselves from, what we do, what we don't do. I do believe that there are people that do the physical aspects of stretching that comes from yoga that aren't super dangerous. I do think that if you go in enough yoga studios, you're going to go in the one that you're going to know it's different. Run from that, okay? I don't think that laying on the ground and touching the back of your head with your feet is sinful. If you can lick your elbow, good for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that's inherently sinful to take care of your body. I do think we need to be wary of the philosophies that are involved with that. If part of that is for you to sit there, empty your mind, and become one with yourself, leave. Okay? But, exercise. I hope that made sense at all. You want to talk about it more, we'll talk about it some other time. I love y'all so much. Eat chicken. That's why I'm always telling y'all to eat chicken. I'm trying to keep you guys away from Aunt Susie. All right, let's pray. Jesus, we love you. Thank you that I got a group of people that like to laugh. I pray that you'll help us to understand where the wisdom, what is wisdom and how we approach some of these concepts and understand that we're not wrestling as flesh and blood, like what seems to be illogical or not to have a basis actually does have some very, very old roots in humanism, in our rebellion and rejection, rebellion against and a rejection of you. And that song, Behold Our God, I want us to see you. God, I pray that we will see you, worship you, humble ourselves before you. And we want to be bold, and we want to see you move. We want to see your handiwork. We want to see the evidence of your Spirit in our lives, in the way we love our families, the way we love our babies, the way we love our communities, the boldness that you give us for truth. That is really important, but it is worthless and fake if it's not based on our understanding and our view of who you are. And God, I just pray that we will behold you, that it'll be our mission in life to see you for who you are and how you describe yourself. We love you, Jesus. Amen.